Again, welcome. I'm Joan Harris, and this is Christine Callahan, and we are Symphony Care Management, a care management and life planning group based in Metro West, Greater Boston, and Cape Cod. So today we're thrilled to have you with us to look at brain health and aging well. Christine and I are going to kind of share this presentation. We're going to go through um, some slides and have plenty of time for questions. Hold on just a second. Let me bring that up. And here we go. Okay. Why is it not sliding down? There we go. Okay. So, I wanted to tell you kind of how we got to the blue zones. And so I'm going to share my story with you today. And we're going to talk about what is a blue zone. Many of you might know, but we don't want to take that for granted. So we want to talk about what those are. What are the key elements to longevity? What is the power of having purpose in your life? How can that help you live your best life? Simple steps to boost brain energy. And then what are your priorities to improve the quality of your life? So that is what we are hoping to review today and look forward to our discussion. So with these pictures here, I want to say that last May, I went to Japan with my association and other care managers and in in my peer group. And it was really, for someone who hasn't traveled very much, it was an just an unbelievable cultural experience. Not only did we tour acute care and chronic care facilities and learn about the Japanese healthcare system and some of the challenges they're facing that are similar to the challenges we're facing here in the United States, but we spent time in the Blue Zone in Ogimi Village in Okinawa. So we flew to Okinawa Island. And when we say blue zone, we're going to talk more about that. It is one of five regions in the world that, and they're trying to connect blue lines between these five regions to study not just why people are living longer, but why they are living so well. And so we'll talk about Dan Buettner's book, The Blue Zone, and we'll also talk about the Netflix special, and we will be giving you resources to send off with you or to send you afterwards so that you can access some of the scientific studies as well as the resources about blue zones. So the picture on the right is a personal picture. That's my daughter. My parents were married in Japan in 1952 when my dad was in the Korean War. And this was a very full circle experience for me because after the group of professional trip, I met my 30-year-old daughter who was in Thailand, and we toured to some of the areas where my parents lived the first 14 months of their marriage in Japan. And it was really utterly amazing. And I will tell you that Japan is safe and clean and friendly. And even when people don't speak English, they always find a way to communicate in a positive way. So it was really unbelievable. The pictures on the two pictures on the left, the one in the middle, it was the adult day center that we visited, and the women in this picture who are sitting are lifelong friends in their 90s. And not only did we exercise with them, and honestly, some of them were a little stronger than some of the people in my group. But we had the opportunity to interview them through our interpreter, and we're going to talk about that in this talk today. The picture on the left really has to do with what we're going to talk about with purpose. These two ladies that are closest to us were visiting the woman in the apron who was the restaurant owner who had made us an authentic Okinawan lunch. And their purpose in life, and they had one other friend who's not in that picture. Um, and their purpose is they get up, they meet up, and they walk to visit their friend and chat with one another. And that is a very important part of their day is to have those connections with their lifelong friends. And so that was really meaningful. Something that you can't see in the middle picture. It is on our website. These ladies, with a few others, did a traditional Okinawan dance for us. And we were on the outside and they were dancing in an inside circle. And what I felt their joy in just being together and doing things that they loved. And that really is what resonated for me. You know, as care managers, I'll make this brief. We do a lot of things. We help people age in place. We set up services. We help people move to assisted living or skilled facilities if they need to. We do consultations. But I came back from Japan knowing that we needed to do better and we needed to do more to bring joy and purpose back into our clients' lives and to help people age well, in addition to all the other things that we do. So I sought out Christine Callahan, who is on this call, who is now part of our practice, because she is a wellness specialist along with her almost 30 years in elder care. So we probably are the only care management company that is really looking at bringing wellness, which is complementary modalities to our clients and really doing an assessment, which will look different for each unique individual depending on where they are in their aging journey. How can we help you to live your best life? So this presentation, I know it's a long story. I appreciate your attention, but really has, and Christine coming into our practice to offer the wellness to our clients really came out of my trip to the Blue Zone. So we want to share with you today some things that are going to be hopefully helpful that you can take with you and make you curious to learn more. Okay, so we started to talk about purpose. Now, these three ladies in the picture, I know it looks like that was like a stock photo, but that is a picture that we took of the three ladies that go to visit their friend who owns the restaurant. And I just feel happy when I see them as they are living their best life. So there is a word that they use, ikigai, which means purpose. And it really can be very simple things. It can be tending to their garden, um, which is their purpose. Food is medicine in Okinawa. And the fact that they're squatting and getting up, they're staying healthy and active. But whether it's preparing meals or whatever it is that people do that is their purpose to get out of bed, we really want to support everyone finding their ikigai, which changes over time. You know, when you're a working professional or you're a stay-at-home mom, or you're in college or advanced degrees, and then you're in a retirement phase, and then maybe and really your older years, your ikigai or your purpose is really important to longevity and aging well, and it is extremely powerful. There were a few ladies who talked about how, you know, in their culture, they're not considered old until they're over 80, and they're celebrated for their wisdom and so in a cultural context, it's a little harder in the United States where we don't value our elders in the same cultural way always. But I think with a little bit of creativity, it's really very, very probable that there are new ways of doing things that give you joy and purpose. And we want to help you to find that. So as I said when we opened, the Netflix documentary Live to 100 Secrets of the Blue Zone, Dim Butner, he has been with National Geographic, and he's an explorer, and he is screaming from the mountains and writing books and really wanting people to understand how they can live a better life. I strongly recommend his podcast, which I listen to when I'm lifting weights. And also, the Netflix special is really a nice, concise way to really understand the blue zones and the different ways in different parts of the world that people are staying healthy and well. What we're going to do is we're going to consolidate some of the tenets of the blue zone into the six that you see here. There are actually nine tenets. And I'm going to ask Christine to kind of go through the different elements, and we'll use that as a springboard. Christine?
Thank you, Joan. So, can I just get a show of hands how many of you might have seen the Netflix documentary? Okay, so you have some homework then, perhaps. There is a book, but the documentary is phenomenal. You will, I mean, who else parades their 100-year-old people through the streets of their village to celebrate them, right? I mean, we can all take a huge lesson away from that documentary, but it focuses on more areas than just Okinawa. But for the purposes of today, what I've done is I've westernized this a bit, kind of East meets West, to chunk it down in the most impactful ways you can affect your own personal well-being and longevity. So on the right side of the slide, we talk about a healthy diet, healthy whole foods consisting of a mainly plant-based diet. These options would be organic whenever possible. I realize not everyone can always shop organic, but a plant-based, primary plant-based diet, eliminating processed foods whenever you can. And there's a method in Okinawa that they have a word for it, and it's in the series, the documentary series, and it's called the 80% method. So before they sit down to a meal as a group, and it's very celebratory, so they're in a happy vibration, their food's going to digest easier when they're all feeling good together as a group. They say this word, which means, that we're going to eat till we're 80% full and stop eating. And a lot of them maintain their weight simply by not completely filling themselves and not being overstuffed, and then have poor digestion or discomfort. So the 80% rule, yes, Joan?
I just want to say that we have tried to make it a practice to say Hari Hashi Bu
There's the
uh,
word.
before we eat, but habits are so hard to change. And sometimes we laugh because we think of it at the end of the meal when we've already passed that 80% mark. But it is really about being more mindful. And it's a reminder before the meal. And so, again, we don't want you to feel like you have to or to be too hard on yourself because it does take some time to incorporate some of these things. That's all I want to say is that, sometimes we remember after the meal. So,
Yeah, these are key takeaways, not,
yeah, not
not
have tos. Yeah.
not goals for everyone. So one of the tricks that you can use to maintain 80%, or, if yours is 90 or 100% full, that's fine, but not drinking during your meal because you're pushing the food down. And if you're just eating the food during the mealtime, you know that what space is being taken up is fully satiated by just the food, not washing it down and making more room by, having the liquids during the meal. That's just a little tidbit. So healthy diet is across the board in all the blue zones, one of the number one things that people have done to get to be the age that they are, but living really well and healthy. The next key component, of course, is no surprise to any of us, is exercise. And it doesn't mean a gym membership. It means daily movement, building some strength, and then definitely balance, because as we all know, fall risk and, falls in general and injury can change the trajectory of your future. So if you have strong, healthy balance and you're moving every day, you're building those muscles, whether it's, bending down and sitting back up again, outside doing chores or indoors doing chores, those are the key things that are helping build the stamina and the muscle tone in your body. We're not talking about heavy cardio. We're talking about maybe a walk, some gentle stretching, and something that's building some balance. We could go down a significant rabbit hole about this whole category, which we won't be doing today, but that may be a later workshop that really hones in on strength and balance. The next one is a lower stress lifestyle. So we all know that stress is a major component in any kind of disease and illnesses. And lifestyle of minimal stress and maximum joy. Laughter is a must. Trying to surround ourselves with the happiest, most positive people in our world, trying to eliminate as much negative, as much chatter from the outside world as we can to really stay in this positive vibration. And if you watch the series, you'll see that in each of these villages, the lower stress lifestyle and how people approach their life at a slower pace is so very different than us here in the US. The next is social engagement. We all tell our clients and our friends and families, not to isolate, to stay socially engaged. And this can be a very hard one for people. But this is a huge piece of the success of the elders in these villages, is that they have daily exposure to social groups, to friends, to hobbies that they share, shared interests, cultural activities, and their spiritual practices. This is a category that cannot be discounted. This is a huge component, and that's why it's in my top 4 out of the 9 tenets. I'm going to go over to the left part of this slide. If you joined us, which I know some of you did on our previous workshop, we talked about restorative sleep. We talked about all the things you can do to help maintain some balance in your life. And part of that was things like getting enough sleep, eating right, breath work, meditation, exercise. But the amount of sleep you get, and there's new statistics, 7 to 9 hours of deep restorative sleep, is really a life changer. It can help reduce your inflammation, your pain levels. It can help you with your digestion. It can help with your moods. It really triggers everything in the body. But the biggest thing that restorative sleep can do for you is maintain a healthy brain. If we're not sleeping, if you have sleep apnea that's not treated, if you have not deep enough restorative sleep, you're surface sleeping, you're waking up all the time, you're not getting restorative sleep at all. Your body cannot revive, recharge, and repair its cells. So feeding into this next topic of gut health, a gigantic topic, we're really boiling it down into a very small paragraph here. But the importance of gut health is proven, the link between the gut and the brain, scientifically proven. So in your resource slides, I have put some medical scientific studies, some links to those studies done so that you can look back if you're interested in really it takes about, they say about 17 years from the start of a scientific study to the outcome of their research to really prove a point. Can you believe almost 2 decades to prove the gut health brain connection? So anything and everything you can do to improve your digestion is going to improve your cognitive health, because one is feeding the other up and down and back and forth all day, every day. So if you take nothing away from this slide, processed food elimination, eliminating things that are white flour, white sugar, anything that you can do to bring more whole living foods into your life is all for the best. So we're going to move on. Yes,
I'm
Joan.
going to add one thing. Really, all the Alzheimer's research in prevention and slowing progression really touches upon these key elements. And it's not a coincidence that in Okinawa and the other blue zones, there is a very low incidence of Alzheimer's and related dementias. So the social engagement and the stimulation of the brain with intellectual engagement, meaningful activities, that all slows progression of cognitive decline. And there's tremendous body of work that really does connect these tenets to the prevention and the slowing of progression of Alzheimer's and related dementias.
Yes, the joy factor. Thank you. Can I have the next slide,
Oops.
please?
Christine,
Yes.
question. I know that as much as possible, a lot of people try to do it the natural way, do all of these things.
Hmm.
And I think, some people obviously are more um, adept at and able to do think more of the elements
Yeah.
on a regular basis. But especially when it comes to sleep and to gut health, um, you know how life is sometimes. What about aids? I mean, if you can't do it the natural way, what about pre and probiotics for the gut health or
Yeah.
um,
There is a slew of
melatonin
resources.
to sleep some nights, not every night maybe, but th those sorts of aids.
Melatonin's not all it's cracked up to be. You
Yeah,
actually build a resistance to it and have
yeah,
to go off
that's
of
what I
it
read.
instead of just upping the dose all the time.
Yeah, that's what
There's
I
a
read.
lot of different things that you can do to improve your sleep. We did a big chunk of that in the last and it depends on what medications you might take because
Right, right,
things like an herbal tea like chamomile, as
right,
benign as that seems, it is a sedative and it can interfere with
right.
blood pressure medication. So
Ah,
to not
okay.
be a medical practitioner in this
Yeah,
workshop, I would caution anyone to really truly vet out the types of supplements and over the counter things that
right.
you can use to help improve your sleep.
Mhm.
I focus on certified pure therapeutic grade essential oils for our
Yep,
clients when I'm working with them in wellness, but I'm also looking at their medication list to make sure that there
mhm.
aren't things that are going to interact. So it's very mindfully done, very
Right.
professionally
Okay.
thought out, not something I can just make a blanket recommendation to without knowing more about the whole person.
Right. Mhm.
And
But
Christy,
definitely,
that's where the individualized wellness consultation is so important
Right.
because each individual is so unique and it is non-medical. So it is always going to be asking the medical professionals and looking at best practices. But it is really a fit, but you're absolutely right. There are ways to really support good sleep, but I think that what Christine is saying is that there's a lot of ways to do it that might not involve taking something that you think
Right.
is harmless.
right.
I've been at repeated lectures over the years by geriatric pharmacologists who do a lecture on how food interacts with medication,
Right.
how over-the-counter things, and it's just something we don't know about. So again, having that personalized approach, I think will be really helpful.
Yeah, and I know
Yeah.
the medical profession too. There are some doctors that say absolutely not, to any supplements of any kind. And, they run the gamut. Some are more
Yeah.
open to a more holistic approach to
Yeah.
things like that.
And some are very benign, and there are only
Right,
a
right,
few that are going to really affect you, like grapefruit and things like that.
right,
So
right.
for the purposes of this is just scratching the surface of
Yeah,
what we all know you can speed up your gut health with certain supplements, but right now we're just talking about the food as it relates to the region of these people's
the basics.
villages, what they
Yeah,
grow and where they live matters. The
right.
root vegetables have a grounding, calming effect on the body, which makes them
Mhm.
sleep better at night because they're
Yeah.
eating things that are like correlating to the brain and the gut. So as much as I'd love to, I can't put that whole documentary into this. So I do suggest you watch it or
I
read the
definitely
book.
will watch that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
So this is the Americanized version on this slide of what small changes that we can commit to today as US citizens who have every drive-through at our disposal, every quick meal, every caffeine hit, everything that you could possibly do to fill your gut with toxins, we have at our disposal
Mhm.
24/7. So what small changes can we commit to today? This is where your pen and paper comes in handy, because I want you to think about those four pieces, and really put some thought into, and again, not putting anyone on the spot, but which one of these four do you think in your own life would be the easiest thing to change or modify? We don't want to tackle the biggest hurdle first. We don't want the largest obstacle in your life to be the first one you choose. Let it be something that you know you can achieve a small step towards success with this goal, whether it's daily movement or whether it's incorporating more joy and more friendship into your life, or maybe it is the diet that you tackle first. Just don't want you to be the overachiever who tackles all four categories in the first 30 days, because new habits take time to really stick. So pick one that really truly resonates with you, that you will have fun introducing into your life, that you can commit to today. So out of those categories, make any mental notes or take paper notes for yourself as we go through this particular slide, because we want you to be mindful and successful. And if you start with small incremental changes, it's more likely to be positive outcome and have a ripple effect that you will want to do more positive changes. So new healthy habits, they really do need a few weeks to establish that consistency to really be a sustainable habit. And like I said, if you choose the category that resonates best with you, it's the one that you want to choose first. It will bring that momentum because you'll see the success of that first one and want to do more. That's coaching 101. So positive results, transitioning through that change. Excuse me, I'm going to need to grab a little water.
Christine, do you want me to give my example while you're getting
Absolutely.
water? Okay. We talked about, uh, you know, what we're coming up. May will be 2 years that I just kind of finally decided that I don't know what made me wake up, but that every night telling myself, oh, I have to work late, I can't go work out, just really wasn't okay. And I splurged and actually went to join a place that I looked forward to going to, and that was a beautiful and great environment. And I started lifting weights 3 times a week because osteoporosis runs in my family and the party's over. Like, get with it now, Joan, or you will be living the life that you see with many of our clients who really haven't had the opportunity, or they haven't planned and they haven't been able to be as active, and they're having some of the consequences. I mean, we see it every day in our work. And I found that, yes, I need to work on my sleep. That's the next thing to tackle. But it was a snowball effect with feeling this good feeling and empowerment. And that affected cleaning up the diet. And it really wasn't about losing weight, although that happened. It really was that I just felt better. And it was a snowball effect. So just picking that one thing that I now like look at the clock and think, ooh, good, in 4 hours or whatever it is, tonight is a weightlifting night, has made a big difference in my stress level, in just, I was fine before, but I probably was more exhausted. So not everybody's going to go lift weights 3 nights a week. That was my choice. I love putting my earbuds in, not talking to anyone. I talk to people all day, so I go to the gym. I don't want to do classes, but the bone health is actually a critical health factor for me. And now I have the confidence of knowing that, things are going to happen, but I'm doing what I can and it's helping me feel good. So it is definitely a snowball effect, and everybody can do that in their own way.
Yeah, you can certainly be very self-motivated, but if you are a person who struggles with that, the support of a friend, a group, um, for accountability, having a partner that walks that walk with you, whether it is an actual physical taking a walk, or it's some other hobby or some other piece of one of those four categories, that you have someone to do it with you. And if you don't have someone to identify that's really positive, that's, not going to bring out the negative, is non-judgmental, is just happy to join you on this part of your journey, then you can consider hiring someone to support you with it, like a coach. Sometimes it's a fitness instructor or a nutritionist that you might get through your health insurance. But I would say that really analyze who might be the right fit, that is going to help you sustain, and that it's going to be a nice volley back and forth of positivity. So we could go to the next slide, Joan.
Just did.
Thank you. So these simple steps to boost your brain chemistry are really part of the resource slides talking about the neurological studies that have happened. And so these are things you can do on your own that really are proven to make new neural pathways in your brain. It's really a huge hot topic right now out in the world. So your brain is a receiver. It filters the frequency and information that affects every part of your body faster than you'd ever be able to trace. And meditation, whether it's silent or guided, you're listening to a meditation, you're listening to music or words, or chanting or humming. It can even be prayer. So meditation is actually a neurological exercise, not just a spiritual or relaxation practice. And it does build neurons. It builds capacity in the brain to help with clear thinking and learning new things. So this scientific research has proven that the positive effects of meditation on your brain are linked with the connection also to the gut. We can't get into all of those, but the heart and the gut and the brain all working as one unit together, just feeding each other information and electrical charge all the time. When you're doing meditation, it's building literally a new pathway. And it's like stretching a muscle that maybe hasn't been used in a certain region of the brain. So also, don't discount the power of conversation, positive conversation, venting anything that's a frustration or stressful to you, to just get it off your chest, whether it's to a friend, a family member, a clinician, a therapist, what have you, because trapped emotions cause disease. It gets stuck in your body, in your cells. It causes poor health, poor sleep, your body and your brain. So having resentments, having anger, emotions that are negative get stored in the body, and it goes to all the weak spots. So, joint pain, muscle pain, tensions build up in the body. Your shoulders are up around your ears because you're tense, and everything gets stuck in the neck and shoulders when you're really tensed up. So I would say, if you, again, from this particular slide, the biggest takeaway would be to just try to eliminate, try to get things off your chest and really move past whatever you can. Some things are hard to forget or to, let go of, but getting it out and not keeping it bottled up is a very good practice. My personal favorite takeaway from the women in Okinawa that were focused on during the documentary was one of the women who had turned 100, 101 during the filming. Her biggest piece of her interview, which was translated, was that she doesn't get angry. And she is so easygoing and just she's peaceful, she's calm, she's centered and grounded. She has her hobbies, her interests, her family, and she's content. But the big takeaway was she doesn't let herself get angry. She lets things go. And that having that reduced, calm, peaceful, non-stressful lifestyle is certainly serving her very well at 101. And so the staying on track is what we're trying to support for our clients, for ourselves, for our loved ones, the people in our lives on a daily basis who want to make improvements in small increments. So sometimes it takes a village if you've got more obstacles to overcome than other people. So there are all different types of professional partners that you can work with. Again, we created whole life wellness to be part of Symphony Care Management for a reason, to really bring a full circle holistic approach to our clients' lives, to identify the weak spots and build them like a new muscle. So if their weak spot is, their pain is not managed, we're going to focus on that. If sleep is a problem, if they're isolated and they've lost all their friends that have predeceased them, whatever their biggest hot point is to start with is where we're going to go with it. And if we need outside resources to refer them to, we have well-vetted options in all the regions that we cover. So healing facilitators can be a massage therapist, someone who provides Reiki, which is energy healing, a nutritionist, an acupuncturist, a naturopathic doctor, therapists, for talk therapy, or there are a lot of older adults that we serve that have never dealt with a past trauma, and who hasn't had a trauma, right? So if it's still trapped in their body and they've never released it, it's there and it's damaging. So they may want to release it through the work with a physical, impact, like a EMDR, and there are other facilitators of things that don't have to do necessarily with talk therapy, talking about the issue. There are some ways, biofeedback, et cetera, that they can use, that they can be referred to if they've got something really chronic that they're working on. There are many life coaches who dabble in different modalities, whether it's a wellness coach or transitional life coach. Personal trainers, we have people that only work with older adults and truly understand the aging body, what limitations and how to stretch properly in a guided way so that the person isn't going to injure themselves. And they can help motivate and keep you on track for accountability. So if you really truly don't have someone you can identify as that partner or friend to be in your inner circle for emotional well-being and to be that happy partner with you, then we certainly can help either through Symphony or through referrals to other practitioners in different modalities.
Thank you, Christine.
You're welcome.
Amazing. I want to add one other component because the series that we're doing, and we're actually doing one a month on all different topics pertaining to wellness, but we are gearing really a lot to our caregivers who are really at risk for their, I mean, the studies are out there. People who are caring for an older adult are very much at risk for having their own um, significant health issues. So whether or not you are the person who is aging in our practice, we are using all of these things from people who are in their 60s and they're starting to think about proactively the quality of their life and how they want to age, all the way through the continuum of our clients who have an Alzheimer's, um, disease process happening, but they always love to walk and they always love to garden. And they were social people. And how do we bring into their lives so many of the things that give them joy? It doesn't matter where people are on the continuum, but our caregivers as well. This is really critical, that it really is a health issue that people really take care of themselves in a number of ways and get the respite that they need so they don't get depleted and therefore can be present for their loved one.
Absolutely. So as you think about your category, your diet, your exercise, your stress reduction, or your social engagement or spiritual engagement, your hobbies and interests, whichever one of those categories you want to focus on that you've made note about, I would even just look at your life in general and those categories and maybe give them a rating on a scale of 1 to 10 where you feel you're at in those categories. If you can't pick one, if you logically are trying to say, well, I should really choose diet,
No
but maybe
shoulds
I'll
here.
choose this. There isn't. This is just easy breezy. This is no pressure. This is just take the information and do with it what you feel is right. But we are here to support. We are here to help people to make those choices and to support them through creating goals, sustainable goals, small incremental steps. But we're going to email everyone from the 2 o'clock presentation and the 5:30 presentation. We're going to email you the resource slide tomorrow morning so that you'll get those. But we've got time for questions. We'd love to hear from you to just poke at this. And if you want to share what category you may want to set a goal in, we are ready, willing, and able to hear. You've already heard Joan's. So, please feel free to chime in. And thank you.
Christine.
Gigi.
Gigi.
So I do have a question. It's just general information. It struck me as curious. So in Japan, people are not considered elderly until they're 80 plus, right? But then you mentioned, Joan, geriatric pharmacology. At what age in the United States would a person start working with geriatric pharmacology? At what age does that become relevant?
Yeah, so there are actually very few of them, but in the Boston area, I don't know what's in your area, Gigi, there are a number of them, and they provide one is connected with Northeastern University, and then there's a couple of private practitioners. I think at any age, I would say 50 and up. If people are on more than two medications, they really should have a review with a geriatric pharmacologist, because polypharmacy and people being on so many medications and the interactions is really an underlying epidemic that we have. And part of our mission in trying to approach aging from a more holistic viewpoint is to see if, in some ways, obviously, people need medications for health issues, but in some ways, how can we help people avoid using medication when they could do something holistic? Because I would say our clients have upwards of easily 6 to 10 medications plus over-the-counter medications. And so I think information is powerful, and I don't, if you're on, I believe that is what they advise, more than two medications, then it is always good to have a look and then come back if there are new medications, because it is incredible how over-the-counter medications can make a medication you need more effective than you want with side effects, or diminish the effectiveness of that medication. And it's just not widespread information. Physicians are wonderful. They're very good at putting us on medications, but they're not good at taking us off them. And then people have multiple practitioners who are in their own silos and not really paying attention to the other, types of specialists or what primary care is doing. So that's a long answer, but I would say that more than two medications, it is always good to have a review and really understand what to look out for.
It does shed good light on it, though. Thank you for that detail. And it makes the work that you all do so valuable because if you're the one that's advocating for that holistic, I don't know that anyone else is in my experience with the general healthcare
It's a
system.
different lens to look through, Gigi, and really looking at what's effective in their world and what's not, and just, making sure that what they're eating and drinking at the time they're taking their medications is what is suitable and what's not going to, counter effect. So
So we'll share too. My area is strength building. I guess like Jones was 10
good.
years ago. That's my one
That's
area.
excellent.
Yeah.
That's a great
Thank you.
choice. And it
Thank you.
resonated with you, and you feel like it would be
Oh,
an easy
yes.
one to start with to build
Yes.
momentum.
Yes.
Awesome. That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just going to add this. I go to a gym where there are a lot of younger people, and they're in these beautiful, I don't know if it's spandex, they're in these beautiful outfits. And yet I've noticed there's a bunch of us that aren't those people. And, you know, we're lifting more than they are. I
Uh-huh.
mean, we can be very powerful.
Yes.
And it
Yes.
isn't about the amount of the weight, it is about how you feel in your body and knowing that you're doing the things that are going to keep you functioning. When I do a squat, I know that 30 years down the road, that's going to help me get out of a chair. I mean, it has to
Exactly.
do with how do you want to live the older years of your life. You have to start thinking about that now.
Yeah.
Yeah, no two-person transfer assist for you, Joan.
Hopefully not.
And I'll
Anyone
just
else?
say, so I work with a lot of, so I'm a wealth management, person, as you and Christine know, but we get the opportunity to see clients go from working to into retirement. And I see a lot of variability as to how successful those folks are once they're in retirement. And, some of our not really that elderly clients come in and they look really old and really, incapacitated, hard to get in through the door, into their chairs. And then we have some clients who I was saying the other day, who I have a client who just turned 80. He looks like he's 65. I couldn't believe he was 80. And he has really, I don't want to say he focused on taking care of himself in his younger years because he was a hockey player and he, you know, drank a lot of beer and partied and all that stuff. But, as he got older, he kept doing a lot of the things he loves. He's very involved with the grandkids and their hockey careers, and he volunteers, and he eats healthy. And he just looks amazing. And so for me, it's like so important
Yeah.
to understand, what are people doing in other countries where it's like 80 isn't old. And I would say the same thing about that client. He is not old.
Yeah.
He really isn't.
Well, everybody
And
remembers Jack LaLanne, right? I mean, think about Jack LaLanne, and his passion was fitness and education, and he
Long
never
before it
stopped
was
working.
stylish.
He never stopped working. But
yeah,
that's the thing. If you can make your hobby your foundation and you thrive on it and you love that hobby and you can pay it forward, whether it's volunteerism or whatever it is. But I think that when people retire without a purpose, without a plan for what's going to happen after, everybody thinks, oh, we're going to travel, we're going to do all these lovely things. And that's all fine and good. But sometimes
What
you
gets you out
may,
of bed in the morning? What
yeah,
is
you
right.
may not be living with that passion project that you could be focusing on because we're worried about all these other things. We're worried about kids and grandkids and this, the world at large. We're letting anxiety and depression and grief even whatever else outside factors, we have to try to put them in their place and take a portion of our day and give it to ourselves and fill our own cup, because if we don't do it, no one else will.
Well, and that's a really good point, because I just had a meeting today
Yeah.
with a client. He's 71 and he's like, I can't retire. I'll get depressed. I'll lose my mind. And
Yep.
that's not a good way to live either.
It's his
Right.
identity. That's why people are so accustomed to that is how they identify and validate
Yes.
themselves. So what Christine said about the planning and maybe working with someone, because there's a lot of fear and anxiety for this gentleman, like that's a big black hole for him. Who
Yes.
am I if I am not this person? I'm just going to add one quick thing. For 2 years, I was a case manager on a telemetry and open heart unit in a New Hampshire hospital that was a heart center. And I was young at that point in time, but it was very impactful on me how many people came in with heart attacks and they had just retired. So
What?
what you're
Yes.
saying and what you're saying, and that it was stunning to me. And so you are in a position, Claudia, where that's you have an opportunity in your
Yeah.
advising as people start to look forward. But what I would say is that you can be 70 and you can be 80 and you can even be 90. And there are many things that we can help support with a little structure and planning and creative, brainstorming to improve quality of life. But certainly, the sooner people engage in just the awareness of
Hmm.
the difference that this is going to make. But I think at any age, it can be helpful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How about you, Bob?
You're on mute.
Yep, there
There
he
you go.
is.
Um, I'm utterly
Any
wiped out
thoughts?
right now. I'm amazed that I've been able to sit through this, and it's not because I got a better than average night's sleep last night, though of your list of four things, I think it wasn't really quite on the list by itself, but sleep is the number one for me. Just
Right.
restorative sleep. I've been able in the last couple of months to meditate at least 3 out of 4 days, which is it's been
Fabulous.
surprising since I started meditating 50 years ago, but never got into it seriously. I mean, it would be here and there, maybe once a month, twice a month, but in the last couple of months, because as some of you know, I'm a very much a caregiver right now. Um,
Yes.
and the stress from that and the effect that that stress had on me was distressing and astonishing and everything, from feeling totally wiped out all the time, from getting angry. Um, One of the oddest things was basically my fingernails started falling apart after 2 or 3 months of my wife is basically dying of brain cancer and she's in a nursing home for the last 3 months. But prior to that, I was taking care. And so the effect of the stress on my life in the most obvious fashions, not the, well, maybe this, maybe that, but, sort of hitting you in the face fashion, what has really been very insightful. The other thing is I've never been a great one for just calling people and having idle conversation. That's just not where I'm at. But I've been having to do that particularly with my uh, brothers and sister in the last 3 or 4 months, and that has an
Yes.
amazingly beneficial effect. Um,
Good.
It's
yeah,
wonderful.
it is. I
So
mean,
good, Bob.
it is pretty amazing and both necessary and something to continue. But the other thing that was bizarre, and I should mention this because of the stress aspect, is a few years ago, 3, 4 years ago, I dropped about 45, 50 pounds, which I had been stable for a long time. And that was very deliberate and very good. And it had to do with uh, diet and expectations there. But during the stressful period, I would go from like about 207 pounds to 190 pounds in under 3 weeks. Um, and then maybe it might wander back up. But once again, the effect of stress on my body and how I felt and what I was able to do insightful doesn't seem like the right word, but I don't have a better one right now. Um, and
But
now
look at
thinking,
all that you're doing well to bring yourself back to your best health after being through, full-time care in your home with your wife and the trauma of placement. I mean, I hope that you're doing this
I'm trying.
because I
The
hope
other
so.
big thing I'm doing,
Yeah.
Joan, is I started out seeing Rachel there every day of the week. And
Mhm.
because of her state of mind and lack of memory in a lot of important ways, that was incredibly stressful. So I've now dropped back to 5 or 6 days a week. And I had to give myself permission to do that. And I think that was
Yeah.
something that really
Mm.
came very
And
hard.
you might even be able to, with a little nudging from your care manager, a little
Uh,
bit more when you're ready, but you are starting to take care of yourself and fill yourself back up, which is going to mean you're going to be able to be more present for Rachel.
Absolutely. I've really seen that. And one of the sillier things I've seen, my fingernails are doing better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never been a great one for fingernails. I mean, manicures have never been part of my life, for
Yeah.
instance. I do the basics and that's about it. But to see that variation and associate it with stress has
Yeah.
been very direct and dramatic for me.
Well,
Yes,
think about stress as life in the desert, right?
that's for sure.
Everything's drained, everything's dehydrated, all the nutrients, all of the goodness is just drained from us from stress.
It
It's
is.
literally life in a desert. So, as you replenish yourself, your body, your mind, and your spirit, things are going to grow back. And the body has an unbelievable amount of regeneration to do. And your sleep absolutely impacts every ounce of it.
That's
So,
true.
yay for you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Bob. I'm so glad
Sure.
that you're here. Chris, did you want to add anything? You don't have to, but you're welcome to before
This
we wrap
Christie?
up.
Yeah.
Yes, Christy, sorry
Yeah, that's all
about the
right.
STI.
Uh,
Sorry about that.
yeah. Yeah, I'm a Christina, not to be
Christina.
confused with
I got
Christine.
it.
Yes. Um, yeah, this has been very helpful, not only for me personally, but in my life right now, and um, but also for my clients. I've been financial planning and advising for years and years and years, and um, uh, what what's her name? I don't see her here from the
Oh,
bank.
Claudia.
Claudia, thank you. What she was mentioning, talking about retirement, people shifting, because that was my focus. And I can't tell you how many times, especially with men, I don't want to be discriminatory here, but it was especially with the men were really bad, made really bad retirees until they figured out what they really wanted to do. And most of it was a lot of this, especially with the social, because you give up their work, their career, whatever it might be, of 40 years. And, but that was everything.
Social
And
Sure.
connections through
as
work.
far as social connections, and that really, I used to counsel on that all the time.
It
Um,
seems like there's almost a stigma
yeah,
amongst men where they
yeah,
can't reach out for support to each other. But what's
It's so
interesting,
true.
so I'm located out of Osterville, and we had a group of men who would go across the street every morning from like 7 o'clock to 9, and they were the breakfast crew. And it was
Right.
great. They
yeah,
all met up, had breakfast, they were obviously early risers. And
yeah.
But that's like
and they
us,
all,
that social connection is so great.
Yeah,
yes.
I
Yeah.
know a group of professionals, all retired now, who have been walking every single morning,
Oh,
Yeah.
like early,
Yeah.
every single morning, and that's their connection, and they are all staying younger than many of the other folks I know of. So, but actually, personally, I'm going to work. I'm going to get back into weight training.
Good for
mhm.
you.
Good
So
for
we've got
you.
three in the strength zone.
Well, I did it years ago. It was fabulous, and then our bad bad personal trainer went and moved to Florida on us,
Oh,
Ah.
and we haven't been able to replace her. Um, she gave us a lot of her stuff from her gym, which was
Yep.
nice.
Yeah, but you
Um,
get comfortable working with
and there it
someone.
sits. Yeah, I mean, she held us, especially me, accountable. So my
Mm.
husband is actually much better at it than I am these days. So I'm going to
Good.
definitely do that more and do some more walking and on a regular basis.
That is so good.
Yeah,
That's
Like,
wonderful.
which will help with the sleep. I'm sure it will.
Oh,
exactly. It's
And
it
everything
all,
definitely
else.
will
It's
help
all
with the sleep.
connected.
It
Yeah,
it will. And
yeah,
timing of it is different for everyone. Like Joan likes to work out at night.
I
Some
do
people
too.
are all about the morning. Everybody's wound differently,
Yeah,
and you'll find your niche and just do it safely and don't overdo it. But that is a
yeah.
fantastic goal. I'm so thrilled that you've all shared, because this is just, you know, all positive stories and goals that we can share with other people as we help motivate others. I've been coaching and motivating people for an awfully long time,
Mhm.
but mostly people in transition that are older. And I think that that's truly my comfort zone, since I was born very late to my family. Everyone was already an older adult, a
Older.
senior when I was born. And I was exposed to nothing but nursing homes and, hospitals and rehabs in the very early days, and seeing the ones that were ill and seeing the ones that were super healthy.
Hmm.
And I can trace back those positive habits that people had on different sides of the family. The young death from all of my Irish side, no one lived. They didn't. And the Italian side of the family on a Mediterranean diet, which I can't say enough good things about, and the exercise and the social
Hmm.
aspect,
Yeah.
not living in isolation, they were the longevity crew. My stepfather retired from the Cambridge police force, and then they made him the licensing commissioner for the city of Cambridge. So he didn't really retire. And then when he really had to retire, he went and volunteered and worked at the famous Citgo station that has the sign that everybody sees from Storrow Drive, and his friend owned it, and he went there and pumped gas every day, and
Right.
shooting the shit with people, and just pumping gas and ringing them out, and they'd all recognize him from the city, and he just never stopped socializing and
Mm.
having his core group of guys he played cards with into his 90th. And I think that he was not a blood relative, so I don't have the genes. It was my stepfather, but
You have the know-how and the
watching the
knowledge.
patterns, just that alone, it is never
Inspired.
too late to start a new habit or routine and have it impact. I'm now 57. My goal is more movement. And I practice what I preach in all the categories, and that I just need more movement. And that's one that I've gotten a little sedentary, and I will do that. But watching my stepfather walk 3 miles a day and do all the things that he did for his longevity, it very much shone a light on the polar opposites in our household.
Great role modeling.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I want to be respectful of people's time. We're about 7 minutes past 3. We're so happy you could join us,
Yes.
and
Thank you.
good food for thought, as Christine said, scratching the surface. But I just want to say that I am learning so much from Christine.
Mm.
And I'm so excited to see the heart of our practice come true, to really spread this message of living your best life. And just know that we are here to support you, your clients, your families in any way that can be helpful, whether it's this much or that much. And we will uh, we would love to know how you do down the road. You will be on our list, our preferred list of all our new offerings that we're going to be doing both virtually and in person. So hopefully building this library, and be in touch with us. It's just great to have you with us.
Joan, thank you. Christine,
Yes,
thank
yeah.
you.
Thank
Thank you
you,
so
everyone.
much, both of you.
Yes.
Thank
Have a
you.
fabulous evening.
Thank you, everyone.